How to draw a grid. So first of all, we need a ruler, and we're going to use inches. Make sure you have a sharpened pencil and then your paper. When you get started, it is to know where 0 is. So I'm going to show you really closely so you understand that 0 is not the end of the ruler. Okay? So if you look closely right here, you see that 0 is just a little bit in from the end of the ruler. So it's important that you line it up with the 0 line. Okay? So I'm going to take here and I'm going to line it up on the left-hand side. And I'm going to go every 2 inches for this grid. So I'm going to put about right there. And put a little mark at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Okay? I'm going to come straight down and I'm going to line up 0 on the bottom with that little line. And I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay? Now I have 2 dots that I'm going to connect here. So I'm going to start on this side. When you draw your grid, it is important that you do not draw it dark. Now I'm going to go a little bit darker so you guys can see it on the screen, but you will eventually have to erase most of these lines. So it is important that you go light. Okay? So I'm going to go a little bit on here. You might be able to see it on my screen, but you would definitely go lighter than what I just did there. Okay, and then I just keep moving it over and connecting those lines to keep them nice and parallel to one another. So I line it up here and down here before I put the line down, and then right here as well. Okay, now all right, once you have your grid done, we're going to start doing a thing called grid mapping. So we're going to map out the edges, the outline of whatever you're drawing, your animal or your object or your person. You're going to, first of all, try to do the edges. So in this eagle one here, that most important line is going to be right here. So I want to make sure that I take my time, I slow down, and I want to follow that edge. Okay? To help you out, we're going to use the grid. So there's a grid here and a grid here. There should be the same amount of boxes throughout the entire picture. Okay? So I'm going to go right down to here. I'm going to put a little dot on this picture just so you can kind of see where I'm trying to find that on this picture. So I'm at F here, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. And it's about the middle way up, but it's a little bit further down. So that I'm going to find that, and it looks like it's about right here. I'm going to put a dot so I know where to start. Okay? Now, you have to see where it intersects the other line. So this one comes up, and it's about to the middle. So I'm going to put a little dot right here. Now, as you work on this, you could put little dots throughout. Just make sure you don't do big dots because you don't want to have dots all over your work. And what you would do then is you can slowly kind of connect the dots to make sure you're following the lines. So in this box up here, looks like it makes a little triangle here. So, and it goes out to about right here. So I'm going to just put a little dot here and kind of follow that line. You can also just kind of go with it as you find your edges. You just kind of look at each box and see where everything is at and how it's going here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and I'll check back in with you in a little bit. I was able to get through all of the outlining here from the most important parts of this bird here. So as you can see, it came down here. I also did the wing over here on the side. I put that line in here. And then I started to figure out where the eye is going to be located. I didn't spend much time on it, but I just want to know where things are located before I start adding any shading. Shading will come towards the end, and once you start adding some tone in there, some darkness, that's going to be permanent, and you can't really erase a whole bunch once you get that down. So I'm going to go ahead and work a little bit more and kind of show you my progress with my eagle. All right, guys, I was able to work a little bit more. I think I figured out where everything is and located. And now I'm going to start getting into some of the shading parts because I know that like the eyes are in the right place and the beak is as well. So I just want to talk about a few tools that you can use. First of all, we do have a blending stump too. This is good for adding in some gray tones and kind of moving around some of the pencil and the graphite so you can get it smoothed out. Okay, so that comes in handy for smaller areas. You can use your finger as well, but just be careful because our fingers are kind of big and it's hard to get in little areas. Another tool is this. If you're unsure of certain areas what they look like, there's this little square that I cut out 1 inch. You put it over top and you can kind of see what the shading looks like and where it's dark and where it's light. So this box is right here is right here. So when I look at it, I know that right over here, I'm going to be shading that in completely black. So I might want to use one of these darker pencils for that when I get into that shading part. Then I can kind of know like, oh, right here, I might use a blending stump, and then also right over here. Also, there might be some erasers out. I do have some of these smaller ones here that you can use. You can put on the ends of the pencils to kind of help with taking away some of the graphite as well, to adding in different highlights. This will come in handy for right over here when I do the feathers. All right, I'm going to keep working on it and see what I can do now. All right, guys, I just want to give you an update here. I've been working on it for about 25 minutes now. I've been working on kind of the background area and some areas in here, so I think it's going pretty well. Probably start working on here a little bit more, this area right in here. And the hardest part, I think, in this whole part of this eagle one is going to be these right here, these feathers. So I think from now I'm just going to go ahead. I'll probably be working on it the next few days, and I'll see how I can finish it up. All right, guys, I just want to give you a last update here. Looks like I was able to get in some last details here in my textures. I still have a little bit more work to do, but I have it to a point where I'm kind of satisfied with it for now. Another thing that you could do, and something that I worked on, was using an eraser. So when you come in here for some textures, you can actually erase away some of the details to create some type of a texture.